Hey everyone, this is Laura Gadenik with Laura Gadenik Astrology, and I'm here to give you the astrology for the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2021. So there's quite a few aspects this week and also a lot going on astrologically during this season when the sun enters Gemini, which it will later in the week. So to start off, on Monday the 17th, we have the sun in Taurus making a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, the sun in Taurus has been highlighting our resources. Taurus is about money, our physical possessions, land, agriculture, food, beauty, and Pluto is always a planet that intensifies. Pluto can also represent money or wealth, but Pluto intensifies, Pluto wants to dig, Pluto wants to research, and Pluto obsesses. Trines are usually pretty positive, so more of the positive aspects of Pluto will come out. So there might be an intensity or obsession with things that are pleasurable in nature. Kind of one of the themes of the week, as Venus is also conjoining the North Node on the same day. Venus rules over the sign of Taurus, and Venus is the planet of pleasure, beauty, romance, connection, relationships, all things sensual and fun. And so there might just be that heightened sense of pleasure and wanting to do something that's really fun and focusing on fun rather than necessarily productivity. Pluto, once again, can indicate a deep dive into something or researching. So you might be interested in a deep dive into things like money, alternative money sources, agriculture, gardening, the body, herbs, food. And I say alternative money sources and probably, maybe alternative food sources as well, because the planet Uranus is in Taurus and Uranus innovates and renovates. It might be in general a more sexual, erotic day. Pluto is one of the planets indicative of sex and connection in that way. But it's definitely a time to be powerful and confident, and you might just have this sense of wanting to obsessively work on those Taurian aspects of your life, such as your resources, your money, your stuff, your things, organizing your things, getting rid of stuff, etc. And like I said, Venus is conjoining the North Node on the same day, so there's this kind of hungry desire for more fun, more pleasure, or relationships, connection, beauty, more relaxing, more sensuality, all the Venusian lovely things, which is definitely not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so Wednesday the 19th, we have Venus and Gemini making a trine to Saturn in Aquarius, around 13 degrees. So Venus, once again, representing relationships, and connections the most. There's also all those other Venusian topics I just went over as well, but this aspect really points to relationships and connections being steady and stabilized. There's this the Saturn kind of harnesses the energy and grounds the energy of Venus so she doesn't get too crazy, too wild, too out of control, which she might normally tend to do near the North Node. So there is this sense of stabilization. So commitments that you're in, specifically with partners or friendships or whatever agreement with anyone, those are going to be stabilized. And there might be more of a feeling of satisfaction and enjoyment with the things that come with time and age, which is what Saturn rules over. And so it's a really lovely time. It's our affections can grow in our current commitments that we've made, that we've been working on through time. Okay, so Thursday the 20th, the sun moves into Gemini. So we already have Mercury and Venus in Gemini, so that part of your chart is already being activated. So if you know your chart, it depends on what house system you're using, but whatever house has Gemini on the cusp is in full swing. So it's kind of that part of your chart is being highlighted. Those topics are coming up. They're thematic during Gemini season. So Gemini is a sign about play, playfulness, jokes, communication, exchanges, like quick exchanges between people, dashing here, dashing there. I think of Gemini as the social butterfly, really being able to navigate group dynamics really well. And, Gemini is like the perfect connector, being able to see the perspective of this person and of this group and of this other group over here, and really they're great at making friends. I think Gemini people in general, they're very lovely to be around in my experience. So this is a time of kind of being that social butterfly, being that connector, finding that within yourself or wherever it is happening in your chart, and doing it in that way. Play. Definitely find time to play. Play games like word games, make jokes, do any sort of like writing, communication, all the normal Gemini, Mercury things. And your interactions with others and in the world at large might just feel a little quicker, kind of dash over here, dash over there, get this thing done. Gemini needs variety and diversity because Gemini gets bored easily. So you might find that during this Gemini season, you also get a bit bored easily and want to dabble in a lot of things, which is great. Gemini needs mental stimulation, but just be mindful of spreading yourself too thin, because that is a common trap that Gemini folks, there are people with a lot of Gemini in their chart, can fall into. And we can all kind of experience that as well during Gemini season. And it's really easy to do that this season, especially with the Mercury retrograde coming up and with Mercury squaring Neptune for a couple of weeks, which I'll get to in a little bit. But it's really easy to spread yourself thin. So make sure that the things you're getting involved with are things you actually want to get involved with, or be okay with changing your mind down the road is what my advice is. Also, Gemini, be mindful of social media usage, like too much of it. That can be kind of a Gemini thing because of that need to communicate quickly. Gemini is about media, really. They're really good with media and with communications. So, but on the flip side of that, it can kind of be too much, too stimulating for the nervous system. Okay, so Friday the 21st, the sun makes a square to Jupiter. This is mostly good, positive. Jupiter, remember, just moved into Pisces, its own sign, and so it's able to expand and bring gifts of good fortune to you, and it's able to do what Jupiter wants to do, which is to grow things. Squares are a bit challenging of an aspect, so whenever a planet squares Jupiter, you always have to be mindful of excess or going too far. And especially with the sun in Gemini, remember I just said Gemini likes to dabble in this, dabble in that, and kind of put its eggs in a variety of baskets because it needs that mental stimulation. So just be mindful, especially because these two are mutable signs. Mutable signs are the go-between signs, the signs of being able to fill in the space of other people's plans or ideas or whatever. So mutable signs can get a little scattered. And so, this aspect, what it feels like is a lot of really good ideas, and but too many good things, too many opportunities, too many possibilities, and saying yes to all of them. So this is the classic spreading yourself too thin aspect, and just be mindful of overextending yourself and taking on too much. Okay, Saturday the 22nd is when Mercury in Gemini makes its first square to Neptune in Pisces. So Mercury is going to be in this square for a while, basically until June 11th, within 3 degrees. But this is the first official exact square. So Mercury represents communications, travel, information, technology, exchanges, etc. Neptune is the great mystifier. It can represent confusion, fogginess, things that are mysterious in nature. You know, Neptune can be a really beautiful spiritual planet, but when in harsh aspect, it tends to confuse or fog or be really frustrating. So let me give you some dates. So this is the first square before Mercury turns retrograde. The second one is going to be June 4th through the 6th. And that's when Mercury is retrograde. So that time period is going to be especially kind of intense, and like there's probably going to be a lot going on, not enough information, foggy information, not all the information to make all the decisions you might be wanting to make. You know, you might not have all the facts. Be careful of lies and deceit, technology mess ups, miscommunication, delays, travel delays, things that are messing up in your car or something like that. That's pretty common. So second exact date of the Mercury square Neptune, June 4th through the 6th. And then the third one is July 7th. And that might be a time where these miscommunications wrap up and you finally have the information you need to make a more informed choice. So keeping that in mind. And, you know, this is kind of all, the Saturday Mercury square Neptune thing is very much so in line with the Sun square Jupiter, you know, like being super excited about a couple of ideas, taking it all on, and then not necessarily having all the facts to actually do the thing, right? Okay. Okay, so Sunday the 23rd, Saturn stations retrograde at 13 degrees of Aquarius. And Saturn will be retrograde until October 11th. So Saturn is a planet about tests, trials, and tribulations. And it's already a kind of a tricky planet that makes us work extra hard to reach our goals and aspirations, and kind of makes us do things the long way. That's Saturn right there for you. And so with Saturn retrograde, it's kind of like, oh, that thing that you've been working on, those things that have been challenging might be a little bit more challenging for that time period, or there's a couple more kinks to figure out, or some more hurdles might be thrown your way to overcome to ultimately make you stronger. That is Saturn's goal. There might be something wedged in your plan that might create some kind of delay. And once again, this is going to be bringing up topics that of the house that has Aquarius on the cusp. So knowing that can be very helpful. Yeah, basically there's more steps to take than you might have initially thought, and you're not quite done with this process is what this retrograde indicates. Okay, so that's the astrology of the week. We have, you know, this is a really important time, season astrologically. Now that the sun has moved into Gemini, we're heading into eclipse season. So the next lunar phase will be I believe it's a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius or a solar eclipse. I can't remember which one, but regardless, it's going to be big. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments needing to be made. Thankfully, the ruler of the eclipse in Sagittarius is Jupiter, which is now in its own sign of Pisces. So that's really great news. But other than that, we also have Saturn. Now that it's moving retrograde, it's kind of moving back. It's heading back into that square with Uranus, which we experienced in the beginning of the year in February. So there's a lot happening right now astrologically. Saturn is the planet of structure, systems, hard work, trials, tribulations, the norm, the plan. You know, it's kind of like coloring within the lines, whereas Uranus is the planet of stepping outside of the box, innovating, progressing, rebelling, making drastic changes to, doing a 180 turn. So those two planets are pretty opposite, and they're kind of bumping heads. And so that's also coming up in June. So we're in the thick of it these next couple of weeks, and especially during this Gemini season. It's going to be pretty intense, and there's going to be a lot of changes happening. And just remember to stay grounded and embodied as much as possible and embrace the changes. And remember that Jupiter's goal is to help you do things that feel good to you. Thank you.